It's hard to imagine a president with a worse relationship with their own staff than the relationship Donald Trump has with his staff, demanding prison time for former staffers, calling former and even current staffers insults and names. And now Donald Trump has forced his second chief of staff, John Kelly, to resign. It's another one of these de facto firings. I tend to think, Pat, that it almost doesn't matter whether we say that John Kelly resigned or was forced to resign or was fired, because in practice, we're talking about the same thing, which is Trump's not having it anymore. Although there are people who write in and say, no, David, you should be a little more precise about which it is, because there are some legal implications. With Kelly, I don't think that those legal implications are particularly relevant, because the reports have been that John Kelly and Donald Trump were not even speaking towards the end of Kelly's tenure. Kelly was brought in with the idea that he'd clean up the riffraff. And in a way, he sort of did. Right when Kelly came in, people like Anthony Scaramucci was pushed out. Stephen Bannon was pushed out, for example. But Trump doesn't want to sort of play it straight the way that Kelly wants it to be played. And it turns out that it wasn't a good relationship. The rumors about the Kelly-Trump relationship imploding seem to have been true. We learned about that shouting match that John Kelly had with National Security Advisor John Bolton at the White House. We saw Kelly sort of painfully grimacing as Donald Trump said dumber and dumber things during press events. And indeed, it's coming to an end. So you have a White House here that is in chaos as Trump reflexively is looking to find something he can do to ease the mounting pressure on him as a result of the various crimes of his associates and the slowdown of the economy and the breakdown of relationships with our allies. But then it gets even worse. Trump identified Mike Pence's chief of staff to become his new chief of staff. His name is Nick Ayers. Ayers has said, no thanks, doesn't want the job. He's not interested. Imagine for a moment how bad it has to be, how bad and toxic and destructive it must be in the Trump White House for a 36-year-old who gets offered the job of a lifetime to turn down being the president's chief of staff. He gets offered this position and he says, no, I'm actually leaving the administration altogether at the end of the year, and I'm going to stick with Mike Pence for the last few weeks until then. Nick Ayers is saying, in principle, your administration is such a train wreck that I'm going to turn down what is for most people a once-in-a-lifetime job opportunity. Now, there's one other element to this, Pat, that some people are pointing out, which is, it may not be that. Nick Ayers somehow made between $10 and $50 million consulting by the time he was 34 years old. That's what he doesn't want scrutinized if he were to become the president's next chief of staff. That may be true. For all we know, Nick Ayers might know a lot about Mike Pence's involvement in Trump Russia, which is what we were saying earlier. But one way or another, he says no thanks to what for most people would be an incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I just think that he doesn't want to risk the embarrassment. He doesn't want to end up leaving the White House in a few months and be ridiculed by the entire country. I mean, that's what happened to Sean Spicer, and that's what happened to Anthony Scaramucci. Certainly they were in different roles, but the exact same thing could happen to him, and he doesn't want his reputation and all the successes that he's had in business to be tarnished.
In any case, the Trump administration is down to effectively running job fairs to see who wants a job at this time. Will Trump attack Nick Ayers on Twitter? We'll see. Will Trump deny ever having offered him the job? He already did. He started tweeting earlier today. It happened right before we taped, so I didn't have time to pull the tweet, but he said something like, the fake news media is saying that the pick was Nick Ayers, but we actually have this great list of people that we're choosing between, or something like that. I kind of, whatever Nick Ayers' reasons are for not taking the job, I actually do understand it. If you have 12 to 50 million, you don't need a $150,000 a year job or whatever it is, along with the headache and the possible embarrassment of being involved so front and center with this administration. I know one guy who might be willing to step in front of this train wreck, which is Rudy Giuliani, although I don't think his name is actually being floated as a possible new chief of staff. And he's doing such an amazing job defending Trump legally anyway, that I can't imagine Trump would want to interrupt that. Send me your thoughts about this. Follow the show on Instagram at David Pakman Show. You can follow me on Instagram at david.pakman as well. Much more coming up, including the first part of my interview with transhumanist Zoltan Istvan next. One of today's sponsors is Skillshare, which is an amazing online learning community that offers thousands of high-quality classes on almost any topic. The first 500 people who click the link under this video will get 2 entire months of totally free access to every single class offered by Skillshare. They've got classes on everything from design, video editing, photography, business, technology, cooking, meditation, even classes on personal productivity. I know you'll be able to find something on Skillshare that fascinates you, or even something that will help you in your everyday life. Classes are taught by real people who care about what they're teaching. I just took a really great class on more advanced video editing techniques. The David Pakman Show is giving you 2 months of free access to every class they offer when you click the link under this video. Think about everything you'll have at your fingertips for 2 whole months, totally free, hard to beat. And after that, if you like it, you can keep access to every class on Skillshare for under $10 a month, one of the most affordable learning platforms out there. Just click the link under this video to redeem your 2 free months of Skillshare, but hurry, it's only available to the first 500 who sign up.